Hello everyone, my name is Seb Valentin and we're back for another Teach and Reflect video. Before we hop in, I want to apologize about last video. The audio got a little bit corrupt. I'm going to be watching that on the camera now. If I see little green dots fade away, I'll know to stop and sort of edit that out, film a new part. Because I didn't realize, but halfway through last video, the audio stopped working, cut out. Not really sure what happened, but hopefully it doesn't happen this time. We'll pray for that. So, what are we talking about today? What is today's topic? I think this topic is something we can all benefit from, especially with social media. Social media is a big part of this. What does social media do? You know, and we hear this all the time now. We used to think social media was this great thing that was like, oh, so awesome. Like, yes, like I can finally connect with people all across the world. I can network, that sort of thing. And all that stuff is still true and it's still valid and it's still good. But what has social media done to society as a whole, especially in young people? That's ruined our own self-image. We start comparing ourselves to others and we no longer see value or worth in ourselves. And this is sad. You know, it's sad to see that. And I myself have even fallen victim to this, you know, like even if I try to tell myself I'm not comparing or whatever, like subconsciously my mind is looking at this, that, the other thing, like these people, what they're doing or whatever, they're going on all these fancy trips or they're doing this or whatever. And at first maybe you don't think about it as much, but it really, like, it's like, what am I doing? You know, you start asking yourself those questions, and that's the enemy sneaking in and using comparison to bring down our defenses and then make us feel less than what we are. But I think we need to regroup and realize that we are more than this. We are more than comparison and spending all of our time on social media. And, you know, there's more that can be done than absorb all the negative aspects of it. Because I think social media can be positive if used correctly, just like anything else. And there's a Bible verse that came to mind, and it's going to be the central theme of this. Well, the central theme is our image and how God sees us. But the Bible verse is from Colossians chapter 3, verse 10, and it reads, "And put on the new self, which is being renewed for knowledge in the image of its creator." Now I'll kind of explain this a little bit more. What I had kind of planned for this episode was the knowledge that I'm going to give you will help you renew sort of that mindset where you're no longer tarnishing your own image. Because you have to realize that the image in which we were created was created by God. The same God who created the entire universe, who created everything. All of the beauty in the world. And he hand created you. Atom by atom, he built you together to be exactly who you are. And I think that's like the first big point of this video is we are created in the image of God, you know, and we are designed by him and in his likeness. He wants us to be, you know, we share this connection, this special and deep connection with God that other creatures here on earth don't share the same connection with him. So like animals like dogs and cats, they don't share the same connection. They don't have the same rational thought that we do, or the same capacity. And God giving us this gift of being able to, you know, relate to him in the same way is beautiful when you look at it. You know, this is where it starts. Is him giving us this gift of rationality and of free will that we get to see sort of that's how the soul is formed, and it just extends outward from there. You know, he forms us in that way first, in his likeness, in his image, and then we get our very own physical body. We get our very own physicality, if you will, you know, like, and he created that specifically. Like in his mind, he had a plan, and he the way I picture it is like, and I know this is it's a weird analogy or a weird example, but I picture God literally just sitting down, like pen and paper, and he's like drawing. But his pen is made of this special omnipotent ink that just it has on this paper it creates the most beautiful image you've ever seen. Something we can't even comprehend, and that is you. That is me. That is us being created in this image. And I know sometimes it's hard to accept some parts of ourselves and to like some parts of ourselves, especially physical, is what we run into a lot of comparison, and it's a lot of what we think like, oh, this is a weakness of mine, because I look like this, or because I act like this, or I think like this. But no, we have to see it all as a gift from God. God handpicked every single little thing for you. And now a lot of people maybe aren't Catholic or Christian, and when they're watching this are like, oh, so all the struggles and all the pain and all the everything that I've been through, he picked that out for me. And I'm going to say yes, absolutely. He did. And that's not a bad thing. We shouldn't look at it as a bad thing. This goes out to everyone, not just people who are not Catholic or Christian. But yes, even the struggles, they are part of you, and they were handpicked by God to help form you, to help bring you closer to him. Because that's really what that struggle, the purpose of, I think, every single struggle, is to bring us closer to him. To have a deeper, more intimate connection with him. To fall on our knees and surrender. To give up. To go to him. Go to him for help. Go to him for guidance. That's what he wants. And he's not just like, oh, I'm going to make this terrible thing happen to you just so you can, because a lot of people, terrible things happen and then they just get angry at God. But eventually, they start seeing all the aspects behind the situation, all the factors. And they slowly but surely return to God. And they thank him for that cross. Because without our crosses, we wouldn't be who we are. That goes for how we think, how we look, everything. And another point I want to bring up is, I said it earlier, sometimes we look at something about us and we think it's a weakness. But it's so beautiful how what we think is a weakness, God will use as our greatest strength. And there are many examples of this, in saints and other blessed and holy people, and regular people too, like people you walk by every single day. There's always that story, and it's a paradoxical story of, this is the thing that like always bothered me in life, or whatever, blah blah blah, and my biggest weakness in life from the human perspective. But God put that in that person's life because it ends up being their greatest strength. And I think that's so beautiful, that the godly design of humanity and of who we are. And that leads straight into the third point, and that is to just embrace who we are and our talents and what God has given us, and to cultivate that, to ask him to guide us in accelerating these things. We need to be happy. We need to be thankful for what God has given us in who we are. And it's not to say, like, for example, if maybe you just eat extremely unhealthy, like you're eating junk food all the time, and you can't use that to say, oh, like I'm very grateful for my body and for everything, and I'm just gonna eat a bunch of junk food 24/7 all the time. In reality, you're destroying your body. You're destroying this gift that God has has for you. So it's also moderation in that aspect. I know people might try to twist it, but I think it's important to really honor God, and we do this by seeing how our image is connected to it. We honor ourselves. Our body is a temple, as it says in Scripture, and when we honor ourselves and our temple, not to the point of pride, but to to the point of self-respect, self-love. You know, when we do these things, we honor God as well. And I think that's just the key behind it all, is to not look at ourselves and not look at social media and end up in this endless trap of comparison. It's to love ourselves truly and fully for what God created us to be. And to have that thought at the forefront of our minds always, so we never forget that we are made in His image and likeness. And that is enough. And that is good. And that is how He wants us. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you like this content, I ask that you share with your friends and family. I also ask that you pray for me. I'll be praying for you. And I'll see you in the next one.